Throughout this whole insane election, candidates have been accusing one another of not having the experience to lead, but you can't argue with this resume, okay? So please welcome former Secretary of State, Senator from New York, First Lady of the United States, lawyer, mom, and grandma. We're thrilled to welcome Hillary Clinton.
This is my favorite song. Take back my life song. Take back my life song. My partner's telling me I'll be strong. I'll come over
You're back in New York, you're campaigning, a state that you were a senator in for 8 years, you live here. How is it being back?
It is so great, I have to tell you. I love being in New York. You know, obviously I've had the great privilege of representing this state for 8 years, as you know. And we live here. We've lived here ever since we left the White House at the end of Bill's 2 terms. And I just feel so happy when I'm in New York.
Yeah.
I just, you know, and now that I've been traveling around the state, going upstate again, I was in Albany yesterday. I see so many of my friends and supporters and people that I've worked with. It's just the most rewarding feeling. And so nothing beats it for me. I love being here.
How has this run been different for you since the 2008 run against President Obama? What did you learn that you're now doing this time around?
It's a great question. You know, look, I learned a lot. And one thing, it's to try to really be as focused as possible about, you know, what I've done and what I will do and why I think I can get things done. I think there are 3 big tests anybody running for president has to meet. Number 1, can you actually produce results for people? Not just talk about it, but deliver results. Secondly, can you keep us safe? And to me, that's the biggest of all the commander-in-chief responsibilities. And then third, you know, how do you bring us together? Because I don't like all this divisiveness. I think it's absolutely appropriate for people to have different political opinions. That's what makes us America. But the mean-spiritedness, the hate rhetoric, the incitement of violence, all of that, I think, is really dangerous. So I'm going to keep trying to unify people the best I can.
Well, you know, we were talking about sexism just before you came out. Yeah, we were. Yeah. And, you know, because we all, as women, experience it somewhere or another. But women seem to be under fire right now, more than ever. You know, you had Heidi Cruz, the wives of candidates being attacked about their looks. You had a female reporter being assaulted. You have Donald Trump saying things like women who have abortions should be punished. I mean, it's frightening. It's frightening. What do you think will happen to women if a Republican gets in there, if Trump wins, God forbid?
Well, let's make sure that doesn't happen. Number
I mean,
one.
What's going to happen to us?
Well, I think for me, the way he's conducted his campaign, the things he said, and he has insulted everybody, and he has demeaned everybody. You know, he started on his very first day saying that all Mexican immigrants were rapists and criminals, right? And then he moved on to attack people with disabilities. He attacked John McCain, who's a friend of mine, and said he wasn't really a war hero.
Because he was captured.
Yeah, because, I mean, he was a POW for years, and he was so brave. And then, of course, going after American Muslims and really drawing these lines. And his attitude about and what he has said about so many women, the way he treated Megyn Kelly, who is a superb journalist.
Yes, she is.
Right? I just don't understand what he thinks is the role of somebody running for president. I don't think it is to scapegoat people, divide people, engage in this kind of, you know, prejudice and paranoia. And so it's not only women and we who should be concerned, it's everybody because of the way that he conducts himself. I reject it.
But he has a lot of fans. I'm going to follow up. He has a lot of fans. I mean, he has many people who are following him. Why?
Well, he does have a lot of people who are voting in the Republican primary, but to put it into broader perspective, I have more votes than he does. I have 1 million more votes. You know, I don't think the vast majority of Americans, let's hope, want to reward that kind of behavior and that sort of really hateful rhetoric.
Yeah. Speaking of voting and momentum, I know your main challenger right now, Bernie Sanders, has won 5 of the last 6 primaries. You have a big primary in Wisconsin. What do you think he's tapping into that you aren't? And it seems like you guys are kind of getting under one another's skin right now, debating about debating.
Well, we're going to have a debate.
Yes,
I'm glad
April
that's
14th.
finally settled. We're going to have a debate right here in New York. I'm very proud of the campaign that Senator Sanders and I have run because we've run it on issues compared to insults. We've really tried to stay on issues and where we stand and what we would do. But we do have contrasts. I have a big contrast with him on guns. I am just adamant that we are going to take on the gun lobby and we're going to do everything we can to make America safer. And you know, so I think that's a legitimate issue contrast. And I'm really excited that he's attracted so many people, particularly young people, into this contest. And again, you have to look at the broader perspective. We've won some, he's won some, but I have 2.5 million more votes than he does. And I have a very significant lead in delegates, which is what eventually decides who the nominee is. But I'm thrilled that we've run a campaign. And yes, we're going to be critical. Our supporters are going to be critical because we both have records, we both have agendas. But on balance, I think it's been a campaign that's been good for the Democratic Party and good for the country. And I'm very proud of that.
You know, Hillary. I can call you Hillary?
Yeah, call me Hillary.
I notice people say Hillary instead of Secretary Clinton. I wonder if that's disrespectful.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't
well, you know, I know you a long time now. One time I was doing a gig somewhere, and you were running for the Senate, and you came on ahead of me, and you said to them, "I'm the opening act for Joy Behar."
That's right.
Which I thought was so cute. But I know you, and I find you so warm and lovely, and authentic. And yet there are people out there who have this idea that you're not trustworthy, that they don't like you for some reason. What is that about, in your opinion?
You know, Joy, obviously I've thought a lot about it because I don't like to hear it, so I need to figure out what's behind it. And, you know, I think some of it is that, you know, I am perhaps a more serious person, a more reserved person than is kind of in the public arena these days. And so I think there's a bit of a disconnect between the kind of way I conduct myself, that way I was raised, frankly, to conduct myself, and kind of what goes on in the world today. So I think people then say, well, you know, she's serious, she's reserved. Can I really like her?
Well, what is inauthentic? What's inauthentic mean?
I don't understand that.
I
don't understand that. Because I've been pretty much the same person my entire life, for better or worse, right? And I have a lot of wonderful... I have a lot of wonderful friends. And when I started running here in New York back in '99, people said exactly the same thing. And, you know, my attitude is, if you're going to be in public life, you have to have a thick skin. So I have developed a thick skin. And anybody who's interested, I have great creams for it. It does get really, really, so, you know, glittery from time to time. But then, you know, so I ran and I talked about what I wanted to do. Here, and to me, that's what you're supposed to be making your mind up about when you have somebody asking for your vote, asking you to hire them for a job. So I won, and then I served this wonderful state for 6 years, and then I won by an even bigger percentage. Then I ran a tough campaign against then Senator Obama. He won, I lost, and then he turned around. He trusted me enough to ask me to be his Secretary of State.